Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Functional Longevity Podcast, where we give you insight on how to get fit, feel younger, live better. I'm your host, Chris Porter, best-selling author and owner of Y.E.S Fitness. Let me first thank you for taking time from your busy day to listen to what I've got to say. And also, before I get started, let me thank our sponsor, Y.E.S Fitness. Most people lose the ability to enjoy life as they age. At Y.E.S Fitness, we help people age 40 plus get fit so they can live longer and enjoy those extra years doing the things they love to do. Some quick housekeeping here. If you want to get a timestamp or a transcript of today's broadcast, head on over to yesfitnessct.com. Across the top, you'll see a button that says podcast. Click on that, and it will give you access to any of our now 368 episodes. You can also get this broadcast wherever podcasts can be found. How to fight depression naturally. The exercise secret that changed everything. So today we're going to talk about one of the most powerful and underrated medicines available to us. A medicine that requires no prescription, no insurance coverage, and no trip to the pharmacy. That medicine is exercise. A brand new meta-analysis of 26 randomized controlled trials has shown something remarkable. This is really, truly remarkable. Both aerobic and resistance training significantly reduce symptoms of depression and anxiety, and in many cases rival the effects of standard treatments like medications and therapy. So let's let that sink in for a second. In many cases, rival the effects of standard treatments like medication and therapy. Medication and therapy are certainly easier than exercising typically, but it certainly is better for you. So the simple act of moving your body is not just a feel-good suggestion or a motivational poster quote. It's a clinically proven antidepressant. So let's talk about what the research found. The researchers combined through 26 trials where exercise interventions were compared to controlled interventions such as counseling, cognitive behavioral therapy, education, or even medications. 21 of these studies focused on aerobic training, 3 on resistance training, and 6 used a combination of 2. Despite the imbalance in study design, the results were clear. Aerobic exercise reduced depressive symptoms with a measurable impact, showing about a 1.6 point drop in standardized depression scores. That's how I want to say. Showing about a 1.6 point drop in standardized depression scores. Resistance training also reduced depressive symptoms, showing about a 0.89 point drop. The difference between them was statistically insignificant, was not statistically significant. Both modes worked. What this means practically is that whatever you prefer, lacing up for a run on a treadmill, picking up a barbell, you're still giving your brain powerful medicine. When it comes to anxiety, both aerobic and resistance training again showed benefits. Resistance training had a slightly numerical edge here, with a 0.83 point reduction in standardized anxiety scores compared to 0.56 points from aerobic exercise. Again, the difference was not statistically significant, but it hints that resistance training may be especially helpful in calming anxious minds. The big picture takeaway here is this: movement in any form reduces depression and anxiety. You do not need the perfect workout plan, the latest gear, or marathon level commitment. Consistency and structure are what count. So why does this matter so much? There's a long-standing debate about whether exercise truly treats depression or if people with depression just tend to move less. That is a valid question. Depression can drain energy, sap motivation, increase body weight, and lower self-efficacy. all of which make physical activity harder. In fact, about 70% of adults with major depressive disorders fail to meet even the minimum physical activity guidelines. But this is not just correlation. Genetic studies show that people who are predisposed to move less also tend to have higher rates of depression. That is a causal link. And when you layer that with clinical trials showing that exercise interventions improve symptoms, even in people who start depressed, the case is clear. Movement is not just associated with a better mood, it is part of the treatment itself. How does exercise fight depression at the biological level? The real magic of exercise lies in how it rewires the brain and the body. Researchers have identified several powerful mechanisms that explain why exercise is an antidepressant. Number one, lowering inflammation. Chronic inflammation is linked to depression. Exercise acts as a systematic anti inflammatory, calming the signals that feed into mood disorder. Number two, boosting BDNF and neuroplasticity. So, BDNF, or brain derived neurotropic factor, is like fertilizer on your neurons. It supports growth, repair, and flexibility of brain circuits. Depressed brains often show reduced BDNF. Exercise raises it, giving the brain a chance to rewire and recover. The kynurenine pathway. This is one of the most fascinating pieces. Under stress, the amino acid tryptophan is shut down away from serotonin production and toward a metabolite called kynurenine. In the brain, kynurenine can be converted into quinolinic acid, a neurotoxin that damages cells and fuels depression. Exercise changes this pathway. When you train, your muscles produce more of an enzyme called CAT, K-A-T, converts kynurenine into kynurenic acid, which is neuroprotective and critically, cannot cross into the brain. In simple terms, because there's some big science words in this, right? Simply put, exercise cleanses the bloodstream of toxic precursors before it can reach the brain. This mechanism alone makes a powerful case for exercise as mental health medicine. So together, these pathways reduce toxicity, improve brain flexibility, and restore mood regulating chemistry. And here's a good part, okay? The dose required is smaller than you might think. One of the most encouraging findings in this analysis is that many of the studies did not even use workouts that met the official physical activity guidelines. In other words, participants often exercised less than 150 minutes per week and still saw reductions in depressive and anxiety symptoms. This is just liberating. You do not need to start with a mountain of training. You need consistency. We talk about consistency all the time. Even small amounts of regular movement shift the biology of your brain towards resilience. Structure wins the winter. Just talked about this last week. Now let's put this into a practical context. When we're moving into colder months, when motivation drops and the days are darker, depression and anxiety often spike in the winter. This is exactly when you need to double down on structured exercise. Not random activity, not when I feel like it, but a plan. Structure takes decision making out of the equation. You do not have to wake up and ask, should I work out today? Your answer is already on your calendar. That structure is what transforms exercise from an occasional mood booster into a reliable antidepressant. How we're going to apply this? Here are a few ways you can turn these findings into action. Number one, pick your mode. If you like running or cycling, go aerobic. If you like lifting or body weight training, go with resistance. I believe resistance is better for the long haul on most things. I would love to see you do that. But if you can't lift weights for some reason, which I don't know any reason there would be, get some aerobic activity in. And if you like both, even better. The research shows that all modes help. Number two, start small but stay consistent. 2 sessions a week can make a difference. Build to 3 or 4 over time. Number three, use anchor days. Lock into 2 or 3 days each week that will never change. Those are your foundation. Number four, emphasize progression. Add either time, intensity, or load gradually. This keeps your body adapting and your brain reaping the biochemical benefits. And finally, number five, pair with other strategies. Exercise works well alone, but it also enhances the effects of therapy and medication. Think of it as amplifying the tools you already have. And now we have talking about a little bit of the mental reframe. When you're struggling with low mood or high anxiety, exercise can feel like the last thing you want to do. This is normal, but remember this: you are not just working out, you are taking medicine. Every session is a dose that reduces inflammation, boosts neuroplasticity, and clears toxic byproducts from your bloodstream before they reach your brain. Framed like this, exercise stops being a chore and becomes an act of healing. Even a short walk or quick lift, it's not trivial. It's a prescription for resilience. So let's just wrap this up. The science is undeniable. Exercise reduces depression and anxiety. It works across different populations with different modes and even at lower doses than get exercise guidelines. It rivals traditional treatments and enhances them. Most importantly, it is accessible to almost everyone. So as we enter winter, remember that structure is your greatest ally. Create your plan, commit to it, and let each workout be your dose of medicine. This is functional training in its purest form, not just performance in sports, but resilience in life. I'm Chris Borda, and this has been another episode of the Functional Longevity Podcast. So pass it on to a friend, click that you liked it, subscribe, whatever it might be. Pass it along because I think this is powerful information. And until next time, where I'm going to give you more information on how to get fit, feel younger,